In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to create a socket client application in Java. As it was for the server program, the first step for creating the client program is to create a socket object. And its constructor accepts a string as the first parameter. The string represents the server IP address, and because I'm using a server that runs on my local machine, I'm gonna use the local host IP address. And the second argument represents the port number on which the server is listening. In our case, port 9090. Also, you can pass an inet address object as the first parameter, like this. First, create the inet address object, inet address, let's say server address, equals inet address dot get by name. And I'm gonna use local host. You can print the server IP address, server IP address dot get address, and pass the server address as the first parameter. Again, the socket throws input-output exception if an error occurs when creating the socket. Also, socket throws unknown host exception if the IP address of the host could not be determined, and illegal argument exception if the port parameter is outside the specified range of valid port values. That is also true for the server socket constructor. Here, I've used 4 catch blocks. I'm using a different catch block to handle each exception and a catch block that catches any other exception. The exception block is the last catch block, otherwise NetBeans will show us an error in our code. Let's see. Exception, unknown host exception, has already been caught. Okay. So, if I run the code right now, an input-output exception is thrown by the socket constructor, connection refused, because no server is listening on the specified port on my computer. An illegal argument exception is raised if I set the port number outside the specified range. -1, run again. The third catch block is executed, port out of range. Okay, let's move to the second step. The second step is to get the output and the input streams from the socket. I'm gonna use a buffer reader for the input stream and a print reader for the output stream, as we did for the server. The third step is to send and receive data upon the protocol. We have a very simple protocol for this client-server application. After the connection is established, the server sends first the hello client message, and then the client sends a message to the server. So the client is waiting for a message from our server, and I'm gonna print the message. Input.readLine. And after the message is received, send a text message to our server. Out.println, let's say hello server. The last step is to close the input stream, input.close, the output stream, out.close, and the socket. And that's all. The client application is ready to communicate with server. Let's test our application. First, start the server. Waiting for clients. And now let's start the client. Okay, the client has received hello client message from our server, and the server has also received hello server message and is waiting for a new client. Let's run again. And we get the same output as before. Thank you for watching. See you in the next lesson.